Hi, Melody. Thank you, Alyssa, for inviting me and organizing this. Hi, Melody. Thank you for sharing. So I'm Lori, working with Catcher Technology. I'm starting off the corporate venture arm in Singapore right now. So I'm actually joining from Singapore. So I think starting a investment fund, not necessarily like investing in the seed rounds or whatever. Right now, we're investing in more like strategic fit with Catcher, so looking more into medtech and the related fields. But I'm curious, in terms of like operating as a fund, can you share a bit more about how like NextView operates? How do you organize your team or decision making, and how do you like grow your team in terms of like their careers, like keep the team interesting?
Got it. Okay, so we can go into like a lot more, but let me stay kind of pretty high level.
Thank you.
Well, so first of all, there are like two types of corporate venture fund. One is balance sheet investment. One is like kind of a separate dedicated fund, right? So this is a traditional venture fund model is probably more analogous to a dedicated separate pool vehicle where, you know, the corporate is the sole LP or one of the major anchor LPs, right? Because fundamentally, like funds are operated on management fees and carry, which impacts a lot of the decision-making flow down. The way we operate is, you know, my three partners started the firm a decade ago. So they're the three founders. They've been three GPs for the first three funds. And then they brought me in fund three. And then I became a GP in fund four. So that's kind of the quick evolution of the partnership. I would call, we are more of a, you know, two of the best successful funds in the US, Sequoia and Benchmark. We're more like a benchmark model, like boutique, small partnership, joint decision-making, equal partnership, as opposed to Sequoia, which is more like a platform empire with all sorts of different vehicles, both very successful. And culturally speaking, we're more aligned with kind of the benchmark approach. So we're equal partnership. Investment decision-making, there are two different styles, broadly speaking. One is consensus, one is conviction. Consensus means everybody or majority needs to agree on any investment. Conviction meaning one of the partners need to have a strong conviction, and then the other partners can. So like I can make an investment happen if all of my partners hate it. But obviously we have voting process throughout the discussion. So I know why they hate it, and then we record it, but we don't use the other people don't like it to hold it against it, because we're trying to, once the investment is made, it's kind of a fund level investment. So that's kind of how we make investment decisions. And I would say similar to most venture funds, you know, usually every partner has his or her own kind of funnel. So like I take all first meetings, I digest this hospital crazy IoT thing. If it's interesting enough, I raise it on Monday meeting to get some feedback. And then they say stuff, maybe have some industry contacts for me to reach out to. So help me a little bit of diligence, and I help them. And then I digest. I have to be like wrestling in my head and be like, do I move forward? Do I not? And then I get feedback. Hey, what do you guys think about, you know, $3 million round on 12 pre? And how should I like maneuver, you know, get feedback on that. So that's kind of how we do deal process. Diligence is mostly led by the partner. At C stage is not a whole lot. It's like the team and, you know, diving deeper into the sales pipeline or cohort data, whatever they have. In terms of growing teams, we're most venture firms are pretty top heavy, with exceptions of like, you know, folks like Insight, Bessemer. They have more of an army of analysts and associates that are just out like scouting. But I say most other venture firms are pretty top heavy, and we're not dissimilar, because our belief is that it's hard. Junior people can be very helpful with sourcing and top of the funnel, meaning finding out what else is going on in the ecosystem, making sure we see enough companies. But they will take time to develop in terms of judgment and winning deals, because winning deals mostly needs to take kind of the partner to be like, you want to partner with me because I bring this and that takes years too. So like we don't try to staff up the junior team too much. And most of the time, historically, when we hire junior people, it's not a partner track, meaning they don't have a clear track, and which is also not uncommon, which is why, side note, that like building a venture career is very tricky. But at the same time, we tell candidates like, look, if we as a firm are growing, who knows what happens after Fund 5? And maybe we have someone who is kicking ass on the team. And at the time, it might make sense to make that person a serious consideration for a partner track. So we don't really promise that. And then outside of investment team, we have head of platform, which is kind of a grab bag for, portfolio engagement work, running events for us, brand content. So she does things from like figuring out where our 10-year anniversary dinner is going to be with our LPs and founders in New York, to like, how do we think about redesigning our website, to what's our content strategy. This is all like firm marketing stuff. And then like the nitty gritty of like operational stuff. We historically outsource our fund administration. So we have, kind of external for funding and SOI. And we finally got a part-time CFO to help us with audits and stuff like that.